I think the greatest benefit I ever had was being an enlisted man. And you think about that a lot as you're moving up the ranks. That's the guys that's really running the Army. That's the guys that's making it work. And you take care of them and they'll take care of you. Back in the 50s, I think, on everybody's mind when they was in high school, it was, how am I going to fulfill my military obligation? Not that many people got drafted, but the draft was on Ken, and everybody talked about it. I joined the Guard when I was a senior in high school, and my original plan, I think, when I think back, was there was several of us in our senior class that was going to go to the Navy, and that was our goal, to join the Navy, I think. It didn't work out. And I was an enlisted man for 8.5 years, and started out as a ammo bearer. It didn't take too long for me to figure out that I didn't want to be an ammo bearer. Next thing I knew, I had about eight years in, and the officers, we were short officers. The officers we had, the NCOs, kind of encouraged me to go to officer candidate school. So went to OCS. I was very lucky to be commissioned right back in the same battery that I came out of. Continued on in that, and it was finally, after moving through positions, assistant executive officer, I became the battery commander. And that was a goal of my life, I think, was to command the same unit that I came out of. I had a break there in service about the time we decided to move to Olathe, transferred across the state, and was assigned to the officer candidate school. The time that I had out at the officer candidate school was probably the most rewarding time to develop junior officers. And I had been a TAC officer on a part-time basis out there ever since I'd graduated myself. And I transferred out to the officer candidate school as first as a supply officer, and that turned into being the NCOIC, or the officer in charge of the NCO Academy. And did that for a couple of years, and then moved back to the officer candidate school, served as a TAC, a senior TAC, and finally an assistant commandant. And then I had this crazy idea that I wanted to retire. Had a lot of things going in my life at that time, and I retired. And I was out almost a year until I went to a National Guard Association conference the following year, and ended up getting back in, and was assigned back to the state headquarters in Topeka as a supply officer, and then as the assistant inspector general, and then I headed back to the field artillery again and took command of the 127th Field Artillery. Well, of course, I always fall back on field artillery as being my basic branch, and the years of forming the division artillery will probably be the ones I remember the most. I served there for 3 years, back to the state headquarters again, served a couple of years, and then was selected to command the 130th Field Artillery Brigade. We reorganized the brigade over to the 35th Division Artillery, and probably the most interesting time of my career as far as the artillery. It was a big challenge. It was a challenge to incorporate 3 states into the field artillery. Kansas, we had 3 battalions in Kansas, and a battalion in Nebraska and a battalion in Kentucky. So he was dealing with 3 adjutant generals, plus a commanding general. So a pretty good challenge. Anytime you leave a command and you feel like you've accomplished something and you leave it in better shape than you found it, you're always proud of that. Stayed there for about 3.5 years and was reassigned back up to the headquarters in Topeka. I think after about a year I was assigned as the personnel officer and served in that for 2 years. And you know, as retirement came closer, I was planning on retirement, and all of a sudden there was a vacancy for a general officer, and I was selected, and he gave me another 5 years. So I served as assistant adjutant general, and my last position was the commander of the Army National Guard. So I don't think you ever quit serving. I think you gotta keep serving, no matter how little you think it might be. But I think the Guard is one of the best things in America.